When I started at SSB, we had our RSM was a guy by the name of Gideon van Malen. He was affectionately known as Tokkelko. Tall, lanky guy. And even though he was a professional sergeant, he was a warrant officer class 1. So he at that stage probably served for the best part of 20 years. I walked into SSB as a young 19-year-old second lieutenant, and that guy had the absolute respect for me. Other two people that I was also had the privilege of serving under, in our second year, our OC was a German guy by the name of Hans Heinze. He was also later became a general, but in those days he was a commandant or a lieutenant colonel, as it became known later. Hans Heinze also left an imprint on me that to this day I have the utmost respect for that man. And then the last individual who I also had the privilege to serve under was General Chris Colnes. He was also a commandant. The OC of SSB, the rank of the OC is that of a lieutenant colonel. General Chris Colnes, also somebody that I have huge respect for.
So, Leon, what was so good about them? When they've left that burning impression on you, what was it? Was it the way they went about things, or was it their personalities, or was it their military tactics that they would use?
It's a combination of quite a few things. So if you walk into an OC's office and says, you will do this, that's the one way of doing it. Another guy will call you and they say, listen, ultimately we want to achieve X, Y, and Z. I think if we do X, Y, and Z will follow automatically. What is your opinion about it? So that was the one side of them. They were seldom, in Afrikaans we say autocratic. So that was the one side. The other part is, as a person, they were quite balanced. They're always respectful towards you. King of Armor was responsible for the junior leadership training. So when I got to School of Armor, we had the E Squadron, F Squadron, and the G Squadron. E Squadron was the guys who were trained on armored cars. F Squadron were the guys, I think they were armored cars as well. We had armored cars, and we had tanks, and then we had the support fleet. Basically, the armor trained their own infantry. As properly. You started off with basic training, and after basic training, you went through the individual phase. And in the individual phase, you were trained to drive an armored car, shoot the armored cars. And after that, we did crew training. So then the three people in an armored car trained to work together. So one guy was at the whole of guy, on that we were then taught in our troop handling. So in other words, we had 4 armored cars, and you had to not only control your own armored car, you had to control the police troop commander or a troop sergeant. The troop commander takes control of all armored cars. Our instructors was very strict. They could basically do to you whatever they wanted to. Not in terms of physically harming you, but I mean, you were damn scared of them. They said jump. You wouldn't ask why. You'd say how high. We could probably all run at 2.4 in sub 8.5 minutes. We were tall, lanky, sunburned, proof young lad. Maintaining that fitness, you were constantly. If you had the shooting range and you had to return back to base, you either run back or there was always an excuse why you weren't driving back to the line. When you think your body can't, you haven't reached 80% of your capacity. You for example, do a route march of, let's say, 100 kilometers, and you're told you finish then. When you get there, they say, no, sorry, you must still go to that mountain. And you go there. When you get there, this is not another spot. That was one of the main things, I think, one of the primary things that I learned during my junior leadership training is that when you think you're done, you're actually far from done. So, yeah, I think we did good training. Something which was a bit of a challenge during that year for me was towards the end of the year when you became a candidate officer. So some guys were a lance corporal and some guys were candidate officers. We were then taken to 2 SSB. We were introduced to what we call as old men. So old men are guys that have done their training, they've been to the border for 6 months, and now they've returned. So they are old soldiers. They've been there, done it, got the T-shirt upping, and all they were concerned now is they're waiting for the 18th of December or clearing out of the army, and that's their number one priority. Now suddenly you as a young lieutenant or a young candidate officer arrives at 2 SSB and you get given 11 of these old soldiers, and now you had to command them and you had to tell them do this and do that. They thought they knew the world. They've been to the border. They shot people and people shot at them. And here's this young candidate officer, fresh from School of Armor, who thinks he's the bee's knees, but he actually knows nothing. When you fit, nothing is really. We were bulletproof in those days. We thought we were.
I'm keen, because you spoke about the human element. I'm keen to find out about the vehicles. I'm a technical guy, and I'm keen to get an understanding of the type of vehicles, because when you talk about armored vehicles, I'm visualizing like miniature tanks and these sorts of things. What were the vehicles that you had, and is there anything that particularly stood out with these vehicles?
We at SSB, we had the Elan 90 armored car. It was a development from the French Panhard armored car. So it had four rubber wheels, it had indicators, it had lights, it had a horn, everything. So it was totally roadworthy, and it could go on public roads. We had two variants of the Elan. We had the Elan 60 and we had the Elan 90. As the name indicates, the Elan 60 was fitted with a 60mm rear loading mortar, which was generally regarded as the vehicle in which the officer should be traveling. And then the Elan 90 was fitted with a 90mm semi-automatic gun, which could fire high explosive anti-tanks as well as high explosive rounds. Those were the two predominant vehicles that we used in SEP at the stage. Towards the latter half of our training, the Outlaw, which is a six-wheeled infantry fighting vehicle, was introduced. And what the South African industry did is they fitted the 90mm turret of the Elan. They fitted that on this rifle, and that proved to be quite a competent vehicle, because one of the big drawbacks of the Elan 90 was the reliability. The Elan was fitted with a 2.5 four-cylinder Chevrolet motor, and even though it was permanent four-wheel drive, it was prone to break. So at SAD, we had the Elan 60 and we had the Elan 90. Furthermore, we had our disabled vehicles, and those were 5 and 10 ton variants of South African trucks, which were built with the anti-mine capability. The vehicle was safe in the V, so if it detonated the mine, it would go off the wheel, but the engine and the body was made intact. There was also a school of armor at the tanks, which is a Centurion tank.
Because I was keen, I'm really keen to get into the vehicle side of things. So if the vehicle's unreliable, did you then have, as part of the squadron support, the Royal Australian, there's REME, which is the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. So you would have had recovery mechanics and vehicle mechanics going to the battle zone, the forward edge of the battle area, to then recover those vehicles. I'm guessing, was that a regular occurrence with the vehicles if they kept breaking down?
Okay, so we also had our engineers, or our toughies, were light workshop troops, LWT. So they had like a breakdown but truck with a jig on the back, and they could hook an armored car and lift the front wheels and tow it. Yeah, so every squadron had, as part of the support element, we had our technical people who could maintain. The market wasn't that bad, it wasn't that bad, but when you're in a battle situation, fortunately, they seldom broke. They seem to break on the way there or on the way back. Fortunately, when you were there, sort of, I don't know, maybe it's the Lord above that keeping us with them.